Well, good evening, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you all here this evening. My name is Arran Morantz. I'm the Vice President, Advancement and Alumni Engagement for Simon Fraser University. We are so privileged to be celebrating the artistic vision of SFU's dear friend and community changemaker, Arran Stephens. I would like to begin by respectfully acknowledging that we are privileged to gather this evening on the unceded traditional territories of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Musqueam people, and Squamish people on which SFU Vancouver is located. We're delighted to be joined by tonight's guest of honor, Arran Stephens, the co-founder of Nature's Path Organic Foods, a visionary entrepreneur, gardener, author, and accomplished artist whose work has been exhibited in leading galleries in New York City and San Francisco. We are also so happy to welcome Ratana Stephens, Arran's incredible partner in life, business, and community leadership, as well as members of the Stephens family. We'd also like to recognize a number of our special guests, including the president of UVic and Royal Roads University, members of SFU's Board of Governors, SFU honorary degree recipients, President's Distinguished Community Leadership Award recipients, and members of our generous donor community. Thank you so much to our event sponsors, Nature's Path and Opus. And we are glad that staff from both companies are joining us here tonight. A round of applause for our sponsors. Thank you so much. Thank you to Sorab Saab for his support with the evening's cultural programming. It's now my great privilege to welcome SFU President and Vice Chancellor, Dr. Joy Johnson, to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Arran, and thank you for the land acknowledgement. It is wonderful to be here this evening, and I do want to also say welcome to all of you. It is great to come together as a community for an evening of art, of storytelling, and of music. And of course to celebrate Arran Stephens and this stunning piece of art, the Conference of the Birds. In a time of uncertainty and chaos, I truly believe that it's art. It's art that holds our community together. It inspires us. And I'm really very, very grateful for the opportunity to gather together, to be inspired, to be uplifted, and to be reminded of our shared humanity. Especially now, the arts reflect our collective experiences, offering beauty, truth, and even a bit of a sense of escape from time to time. They also serve as a powerful tool for healing, for learning, for empowerment, for connection, for cultural understanding, and they contribute significantly to the economy as well. So I'm so very, very delighted that after tonight, the Conference of the Birds, this amazing painting, is going to be on display for a few months in the main reception area in the office of the President and SFU senior leadership team in Strand Hall on Burnaby Mountain at Simon Fraser University. And I'm particularly excited about that because walking through Strand Hall, we see government representatives, members of our business community and leaders, foreign dignitaries, presidents, and senior executives from other universities. Our SFU chancellor will be there as we celebrate convocation, and our members of the Board of Governors. So really excited to continue to share this amazing painting and to encourage others to be viewing the work. So last year I was honored to present Arran and Ratana Stephens with the SFU President's Distinguished Community Leadership Award. And I think we can all agree that they are amazing community leaders. Yes, absolutely. And so many of us have benefited from their generosity. The award was in recognition of their unwavering commitment to the health of both people and the planet. So we continue to be deeply grateful for the Stephens partnership with SFU and for their commitment to sustainability, social responsibility, and community empowerment. One of SFU's strategic priorities is to make a difference to British Columbia. And philanthropic partners like the Stephens are critical in helping us support the communities that we serve here in BC. Together, we are advancing an inclusive and sustainable future. So we're excited to be building momentum toward opening a new gallery, the Gibson Art Museum. Dynamic, and Marion Gibson is here with us this evening. It's great to have you with us as well, Marion. The gallery is going to be a dynamic new hub for the visual arts on our Burnaby campus, and we'll be opening that later this year. We're also hard at work developing the School of Medicine at Simon Fraser University, which is on track to enroll its first students in the fall of 2026. Very excited about that. It really will be focusing on educating primary care physicians who will be working in community. And I think we can all recognize we all need primary care physicians. So many of us don't have the doctors that we need in our lives. So very excited about that opportunity. So this work would not be possible without amazing support of our donors and friends, many of you who are in the room today. So thank you. Thank you to all of you. And once again, thank you to the Stephens for bringing us together tonight for this amazing celebration. So I'm going to close with that. I want to say have a wonderful evening, everyone, and I will pass it back to Arran. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joy. So to continue the evening, we will now hear from the Kereshmeh Ensemble, a group of local Persian musicians performing a selection of original and traditional pieces.
سپاس.
Thank you so much to the musicians for their wonderful performance. It's now my distinct pleasure to welcome SFU's dear friend and recipient of the 2024 President's Distinguished Community Leadership Award, Ratana Stephens, to share a few words.
Good evening, dear friends. Tonight, we gather to honor a story that is not only ancient, but eternal. The story of a seeker, the soul's journey towards divine. The Conference of the Birds, written 8 centuries ago, by mystic Attar, tells of a gathering of birds, each seek the Simurgh, their true king. Their path winds through valleys of longing, love, and loss, until at last they discover what they sought was within them all along. Inspired by this timeless and symbolic tale, my husband, Arran Stephens, has created a painting, a work of art, a work of devotion, of patience, and of spirit. Over 18 months through hardship and healing. Healing, definitely. He poured his heart into every brushstroke, weaving a vision that speaks to the longing we each carry and the light we each seek. Tonight, through this art, through music, and through poetry, we are invited to remember that even in our faltering steps, we are all on a journey home. Even in our faltering steps, we are all on a journey home. We thank SFU President Joy Johnson, Arran, Paula, Lucas, and all who helped create tonight's gathering. And we give special thanks to Saurabh and his wonderful musical ensemble, Persian musicians, who has and will carry us even deeper into the world of beauty. Please join me in welcoming the artist, the seeker, and my dear husband, Arran Stephens.
It's okay. Thank you. My brother here is going to accompany. Thank you. Thank you for your very kind words. Dear friends, Dostani Aziz, Khosh Amadid. Right. And I see many new friends here tonight. I wish to give you a very warm welcome to this evening's program. As you've already heard, Conference of the Birds is a Persian allegorical fable composed in the 12th century by Fariduddin Attar of Nishapur. Attar was a mystic poet and physician. Conference of the Birds has been translated into English many times. It's one of my favorite stories. Attar of Nishapur was the celebrated 12th century author of 3 books in poetry and prose: Conference of the Birds, Book of the Divine, and Memorial of the Saints. In the fateful year of 1221, just days before the capital of Persia then was Nishapur. It was a beautiful city. And before its invasion and total destruction by the Mongol forces under Genghis Khan's armies, 14-year-old Jalaluddin Rumi was accompanying his father and his family on a caravan. They had just fled Khorasan and stopped in the city of Nishapur to meet the celebrated poet and mystic Attar. Attar became Rumi's first spiritual teacher. And Rumi cheerfully begged Attar to accompany him and his father and a family on their caravan. But Attar deferred because he said, "I am too old to travel now." So they sorrowfully left, Nishapur left Attar behind. And as they left the city, the boy Rumi was following in the footsteps of his theologian father, who was a very celebrated man in his time. And Attar commented, he said, "There goes a lake, followed by the ocean." It was a prophetic statement because Rumi became one of the most celebrated poets of all times. It was a symbolic encounter, his meeting with Attar, 2 giants of Persian mysticism and literature, one at the height of his wisdom and the other on the cusp of his journey. Rumi tearfully begs Attar to join him, but he stays behind. When Nishapur was besieged and then destroyed, hundreds of thousands of its citizens were put to the sword by the Mongols. But Attar and the great mystics like him, they live on through their visionary and allegorical writings. Many years later, Rumi meets his final spiritual master, Shams of Tabriz. Their encounter sparks a love divine, and a flame of majestic poetry that still lights the world. How did Rumi recognize Shams Tabriz? Well, at the time, Rumi was reading this precious book. It was a one-off book, a beautiful book of spirituality, and it was illuminated by hand. It was one of the treasures of the world. And as he was reading this book, sitting by the fountain, this wild man appeared, dressed in black robes, not very clean, his hair was askew. And he accosted Rumi, who was the most famous theologian of his time. He wasn't yet that great poet. It would take a spark to ignite that genius of poetry. And so Shams asks Rumi, he said, "What is that you're reading?" And Rumi answers, oh, he looked at him, he thought he was a beggar. He said, "This is a knowledge of which is beyond your comprehension, beyond your understanding." At that point, Shams grabbed this precious book and threw it into the fountain. Rumi, instead of getting angry, became very sad. He said, "Oh, you have just destroyed one of the wonders of the world." Shams then reached into the fountain, pulled out the book, perfectly dry. Rumi said, "How did you do that?" And Shams replied, "It is a knowledge that is beyond your understanding." So Rumi says, out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. Attar's tale centers on a great gathering of birds. Thousands of them were called together by the wise but humble hoopoe. It's a little bird about a little bigger than a robin. It has black and white feathers and an orange breast. And that bird is said to have guided Solomon through the wilderness in a much earlier time, to inform them of their true purpose, to seek the presence and favor of the great Samurg, the king of all birds, the sultan of all birds, dweller in the far away and the highest mountain of the world. One by one, the doubting birds object and make excuses, dazzled by the beauty of their feathers or the melody of their sweet voices. But the hoopoe, their guide, convinces them one by one to leave off their vanity and their comfort. And he becomes their faithful guide on a long and perilous journey. And thus, many birds on that journey, because it's very long, it's very arduous, they become tired, they give up the quest. Some are caught in snares. They go through many troubles and travails. They have to pass through many valleys, 7 in number. And in the end, only 30 birds complete their pilgrimage. The birds once gathered in dismay. The world is lost, they cried one day. We need a king, both wise and strong, to guide our hearts and right our wrongs. The hoopoe spoke. With feathered grace, a mighty king dwells in a place beyond 7 valleys, wide and deep. The Simurgh waits on the other side. They soared, they fell, they rose again, each shedding pride, each shedding pain. In his allegory, Rumi says, to the parrot he gave a necklace of gold, but to the hoopoe he made a messenger of the way. The story takes many twists and turns, providing lessons from the lives, mistakes, and triumphs of past Sufi students and masters. Stories within stories, wheels within wheels, just like the painting has many paintings within one. Their story becomes a mirror of the seeker's path, filled with challenges, sacrifice, enigma, and profound thought. This painting, which took more than 18 months to produce and over 1,000 hours, is a visual meditation on Attar's final chapter in the Conference of the Birds, which in Persian is Mantik al-Tera. The home we seek, says Attar, is in eternity. The truth we seek is like a shoreless sea. Why stop beguiled by evanescent dreams? The sun's deep secrets lie with you, yet still you choose the dust that dances at its will. The lover's path is neither short nor clear. With every breath, the self must be undone until you find the one within the one. Here, Attar appears as a sage, book and quill in hand. A drop of blood drips from the pen, represents the sacrifice that each seeker must make. Not a punishment, but the price of entry. The pages become wings, and the wings become soul birds, unfettered. Even those who perished on the way, who didn't complete the journey, even they found redemption in the end. I based Attar's likeness on a great mystic of the 20th century and the master of my beloved guide, my peer, my murshid, my guru, in whose company I spent 18 months during the remaining 7 years of his life, from 1967 to 1964. But tonight, I'm not here to speak of my experiences, those I have shared in my memoir, Moth and the Flame. Now, if you look closely in the pages of the book on the right side, it says Mantik al-Tera in Farsi, which means dialogue or conference of the birds. On the other side is the word Anal Haq. This was the famous saying that was made by Mansur al-Hallaj, another great mystic who lived about 100 years earlier. And when he was in a state of divine union, in his deep meditation, and he uttered the words, Anal Haq, I am the truth. And that truth is also in that tradition, also means God. So people thought he was saying something very blasphemous against religion. But he recognized that he was none other than the truth. And he was put to death for that. Fortunately, we live in more tolerant times. Sometimes Rumi was seen dancing through the streets of Konya, where he spent his remaining years. People thought he was mad, but he was mad for God, for the truth. He was in a state of perpetual love, and beautiful poetry sprang from his lips. A couple of years ago, my wife and I, we went to Turkey, and we visited Konya, the place where Rumi lived and died, and I paid my respects at his tomb. But Rumi wasn't there. Rumi is within all of us. So this story tonight is not my story. This is a story about these great luminaries, Rumi, Hafiz, Attar, Mansour, and others. What is a mystic? A mystic is one who seeks personal divine experience where they themselves can experience the divine. Not necessarily in a religious sense, because these mystics are beyond the casing. They have reached the kernel. So a mystic in that particular tradition is called a Sufi. But in other traditions, maybe something else. What is the love of which these mystics, these Sufis speak? Ibn Arabi, 1 century earlier, he was another enlightened soul, and he was of Rumi's era, actually, but before Rumi even. He said, I believe in the religion of love, whatever direction its caravans may take, for love is my religion and my faith. Above the birds, whirling dervishes spiral into the clouds, a symbol of surrender, of ecstatic union. Their turning reflects the inward pull of soul towards its source. The Mevlevi dervish order was established by Rumi's son, Sultan Valad, inspired by his father's spontaneous movements in ecstatic trance. So it was about, in the 1970s, Suleiman Dede, who was the kind of the successor of Rumi's heritage from Konya, came to Vancouver. And he led the Sema, which is the dervish dance. And he was an old man at that time, and my wife and I attended this performance, and he was sat there, he stood there like this, and where the students whirled around him, turned around him, one hand up, the other down, one to receive, one to give. It was a very extraordinary time. So, another great mystic, Darshan, a contemporary mystic poet and great friend. He was a very precious friend. He writes, let them try to imprison him in temple, mosque, and church. The seeing eye finds the beloved signs in every mote. Play on the instrument of the heart, even if it be broken. This desolate scene will become a haven if you fill the world of your heart with love. Companions will join you and form a caravan, but today you must step forth on the path alone. So I began my original study of Conference of the Birds, inspired by the book, in 2020. And work on the large 84-inch one, which hangs in the back, both are in the back of the room, began on August 19th, 2023, and was completed in April 2025. So Lucas snuck into my studio one time. He took a picture of me while I was working on the painting. And you see in the background a little bit of a ladder up there. See the ladder? So in November of 2023, I climbed up that ladder, at the top of the ladder, to reach a canvas in the loft. And then the ladder gave out from underneath me, and I came crashing down, bloodied. My leg was fractured in 3 places. And it was interesting. It was a kind of a near-death experience. But this painting is a jealous lover. It didn't want me to paint another painting because I was reaching for another canvas and, anyway. So the painting was a very jealous lover. And it demanded its price. 2 weeks later, I was back at work in a wheelchair, leg propped up on a trash bin. It's true. But I could only reach the lower third, so I did a lot of detailed work on the bottom third of the painting. So after about 2 months, I was able to hobble around, and then I was able to work on the middle, and then when I was really back in good shape, I was able to work on the upper part of the painting. The 30 birds reflect us, seekers in all stages of the journey. Some soar, others hesitate. Each one is unique, a microcosm of humanity. Yearning for meaning, for union, in their quest, the birds must cross 7 valleys. The first valley is the valley of quest. The second valley is the valley of love. The third valley is the valley of understanding, the fourth of detachment, the fifth of unity, the sixth of astonishment, and the seventh, the valley of death, or self-annihilation, or the death of the ego. They say, what is man? It is basically God plus ego. And what is God? It is a man minus ego. So we have to pay the price at some point. And here, the little hoopoe's curved beak bows in reverence, his light borrowed from the simurg. As a moon reflects the sun, he represents the murshid, the guru, the peer, the sheikh, the guide. Oh friend, says Rumi, rest a while under the shade of a tree, laden with fresh and fragrant flowers. Loiter not in the marketplace, going from shop to shop as idlers do. Go straight to one who has a store of honey with him. Take hold of the garment, O brave soul, of one who knows well the spiritual regions of the journey, who is your true friend in life or in death, in this world or in the next. Above them all, the simurg presides, kingly, majestic, vast, each feather an eye that sees in every direction. Attar says, should you catch even a glimpse of him, you would lose your wits, and if you should see him completely, you would lose yourself. The painting's circular composition reflects the world. The seeking, the falling, the rising, the becoming. The cosmic circle, whose center is everywhere, whose circumference is nowhere. In the story's climax, the 30 birds reach the simurg's magnificent court, only to be told, You are unworthy to behold the king. What makes you think you're worthy? A lover, says the hoopoe, now their guide, is one in whom thoughts of self have died. Your heart is thwarted by the self's control. Destroy its hold on you and reach your goal. In anguish, the 30 birds weep bitter tears, and they begin to pluck their own feathers in despair. It is only then, in that surrender, that they are finally admitted to the court of the king. When at last they are permitted to behold the Simurgh and look into his eyes, what do you think they see? What do they see? In astonishment, they see only a reflection of their true self. Reborn. So the long-sought king was none other than their own true self. We are whom we seek, not the false I, but the true I, the real I. Simurgh is composed of two words. In Farsi, si means 30. Murgh means bird. 30 birds, and the 30 became one. In creating this joyful piece, I was only a mere conduit. In it, I discovered a story of struggle and triumph, of those who rise and those who fall, and who rise again. It is not religious, but it is spiritual. It is a story about all of us, whether as birds, as dervishes, Sufis, Christians, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, Zoroastrians, Baha'is, or agnostic humanists. We all seek the Simurgh by different names and different forms. The light we seek is within. The music we long for is within. Attar, Rumi, and other great enlightened beings all ask us to search for the sun which never sets, and to listen to the music which lasts through eternity. And perhaps when the time is right, we will find it within ourselves. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thanks to Simon Fraser University, to President Joy Johnson, Arran, Paula, Kavita, Miles, and all who made this beautiful evening possible. Thank you to Opus Art Supplies for your generous support, A warm thanks to Sorab. And the wonderful Kereshmeh Ensemble. Thank you, a special thank you to Lucas Bleakley-Petter from Nature's Path, who helped greatly with all aspects of this program. I couldn't have done it without him. So please enjoy the traditional tasty Persian cuisine and take the opportunity to meet and share. And I'll be happy to sign prints of Conference of the Birds, which are printed on high-quality art paper and non-acid inks, as well as my recently published autobiography, Moth and the Flame, for anyone who's interested. All sales of these go to support the not-for-profit Meditation Center, the SOS Meditation and Ecology Center in Richmond. I didn't do this for money, I just did it for love. And again, thank you all for coming. Let's have a nice time, what remains of this evening. Thank you.